Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Time Force episode, Trip Takes a Stand. This is a really good episode. Let's see. At the very beginning, we get a reminder that Ransik needs to take serum to keep his, mutations from getting out of control. And, it doesn't really mean anything to the rest of the episode, but it is nice to keep that little fact in your head. So, then we see Frax reviving one of the mutants, and this mutant has like a weird childish voice and he doesn't want to fight. Ransik starts yelling at him and, "What? You're not gonna fight?" Then the monster's like, "I'm not a violent mutant. I was only in jail for petty theft." Oh, and then there's a funny bit Nadira acts all disgusted. Petty theft? Which is kind of ironic considering that's kind of her whole thing is petty theft. Or I don't know, she has stolen cars and like tons of money, but still petty theft isn't above her or anything. So then Ransik takes out a sword and he's about to kill the mutant, Notakon. And then Frax steps in, he's like, "Oh, wait, Ransik, I have this little thing of what's it," and he sticks it on Notakon, and he's like, and then he pulls out this little a toy microphone thing looking thing. I don't know what it is. And he's like, "By this, I can make him fight." And he presses the button that shocks Notakon. Notakon goes crazy and starts fighting a bunch of the Cyclobots that are in the base, and he escapes. And then Ransik sends Frax and Adira and some Cyclobots after to get Notakon back. Anyway, Notakon's whole little bit about being a non-violent mutant made me wonder, like, so are there any other non-violent mutants there? Are there, like, drug dealer mutants and, like, tax evading mutants? That'd be funny if Ransik revived a mutant who was, like, a huge hulking monster, like a Dark Spectre-sized monster, and it's like, "Oh yeah, I was just in there for tax evasion." I lied on my taxes, said I was a woman, and that I was from another country, and that my name was actually this other thing. I'm not a violent mutant. Something like that would be hilarious. And actually, there probably are mutants in between, like, episodes in canon that we don't see in the show itself, so possibly, like, Ransik revives a mutant who's I don't know, like if there was a non-violent mutant, would he be smart enough to be like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll fight with you, Ransik." Then he goes straight to the Rangers and he's like, yeah, Ransik revived me and I don't want any trouble, so cuff me." I'm wondering if that ever happened. That'd be an interesting story. It'd be a really short story though. So anyway, um okay, so the mutant Notakon is out in the city. He regains his senses, but he's caused a panic, and people are running, screaming everywhere. There's some guy who's driving down the road, and he swerves out of the way of Notakon, and he's like on the side of the car, like driving on two wheels on one side somehow, and he's about to crash into this guy pushing a woman in a wheelchair, and then suddenly the car flips over. We see the wheelchair go flying. Then we see the woman standing up just fine, holding the guy who was pushing her wheelchair. Okay. Like some once in a while they will keep Sentai footage in Power Rangers. This was one of those moments, but it's so bizarre. It's just nuts what's going on. It's really crazy. And even as a kid, like I remember seeing that and it felt so different from the rest of what was going on. So anyway, the guy whose car flipped over happens to be a client of the Silver Guardians and he contacts them. And then let's see. Frax and Adira catch up with the mutant. The mutant still doesn't want to fight. Frax is about to blast him with a cannon, but then Trip jumps in, saves the mutant, and then the Silver Guardians show up. Eric morphs, and then they start fighting with Frax and Adira. Frax and Adira retreat, and then Eric goes on his own to find Trip and the mutant. And then while Trip is hiding the mutant tells Trip his story, and he's talking about was it I was in jail for stealing vegetables. I was starving. No one would feed me because of how I look. Oh, boy, that sucks. Like, I don't think he should be in jail at all. Then, whatever. So anyway, let's see. The Rangers show up to help Trip protect the mutant, and then Eric. Oh yeah, as they're coming, Eric stops the Rangers, and he makes it very clear that he doesn't believe the mutant isn't a threat. He wants to kill Notakon regardless, no matter what. So then he leaves. The Rangers get to know. Or wait, do they? Oh no, they don't. um. Oh yeah. Trip makes friends with Notakon at Ransik's base. Frax activates that shocker device that he put on Noticon. Let's see. Trip tries to get it off, but it just zaps him. Then Frax shows up and shocks him again. Also, he sends Cyclobots out. The Rangers show up. They're fighting off the Cyclobots and Frax. Eric shows up and he's about to shoot the mutant. Then Trip jumps in front of the mutant. Wes jumps in front of Trip and takes the blast. Trip and the mutant get away. The Rangers are trying to hold Eric away from Trip and the mutant. And then Eric gets through, and once again, Trip is standing between him and the mutant, and the Rangers are trying to talk Eric out of it. Eric is adamant in his belief all the mutants should be destroyed. You think they deserve the same justice we do? Why? They're not even human. Look at him. He's a freak. I love the way he says that line, too. Anyway, Trip stands up to him. You hate him because he looks different. Well, if you have to destroy everything that's different, then you better destroy me, too. And he takes his hat off. Eric sees the Zybrian crystal, and then Eric, aims his gun at Trip. Yeah. I remember as a kid thinking, oh, geez, he's actually gonna shoot him. But then anyway, Eric, he fires, but he intentionally misses. But then he's like, your luck, must be something wrong with this thing. Yeah, Eric still can't let anybody know, what his true feelings are. So then, Frax shows up, and he uses the shocker thing, and this time he takes control of the mutant, and he causes the mutant to rip the little DNA patch thing, what's it off, and then he grows. The Rangers get the Megazord, and Trip jumps out of the Megazord to target the little device on the thing. Then Eric summons the Q-Rex. The Q-Rex comes in, and the Rangers are worried at first that he's going to try and kill the mutant, but then it just grabs Noticon, giving Trip the opportunity to shoot the off of Noticon. The Rangers are able to put Noticon back into cryostasis and promise him that he'll be safe. At the end, Eric comes over to the Rangers and warns them to stay out of his way in the future. And Lucas is all like, wow, that dude's mean. And then Trip is like, no, he's not. He's lonely. I felt it. He only acts mean to hide it. And then Trip's words echo in Wes's head, building up that Wes is starting to learn more about how Eric thinks about the world, and that's where it ends, and it's an outstanding episode. Really love this. It's always unique when we have episodes about, good monsters of the day. We don't often get that. I would so wish we could go back to, I don't know, once or twice a season, have a good monster, but so often we don't do that anymore. And, oh, my notes jumped. Okay, anyway. One of the things I really liked about this episode is the moral message of it isn't spelled out completely. They actually keep it not exactly subtle, but it's incidental to the actual story of the episode. It's portrayed through the story of the episode. They don't need to have a scene where someone comes in and says, oh, today we learned that blah, 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 blah. We also never had a scene where Eric comes to the Rangers and apologizes for trying to kill Noticon and judging him based on his appearance and blah, blah, blah. Even though if they did that, he should apologize to Noticon, but I'm assuming that, if this was a modern episode, they would probably overlook that and he would apologize to the Rangers. Just the complete wrong people to be talking to. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. And one of the things I really liked was because the message, wasn't just spelled out, but looking on Ranger Wiki and the comments on the upload of this on YouTube, maybe it should have been. Because on Ranger Wiki, they completely miss what the point of the episode was and act like the don't judge a book by its cover was a mistake or something in the episode, or it's trivia, or it's something so subtle no one would notice. I don't know, am I just too used to watching sci-fi fantasy crap all day and reading comics and sci-fi books? I just got this in the mail. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, there's a little thing about the line that Noticon has where he says, I was stealing vegetables, no one would feed me because of how I looked. And on Ranger Wiki, here's what it said. Not feeding a someone, parentheses, or something, or even considering them a threat just by the way they look, is practically racist. kind of the point of the episode. It's also, like, prejudice would probably be a better word than racist. I don't know if the mutants are they a separate race, or are they species, or are they, what are they? Are they mutant humans? Are they all mutant humans? Or some of them aliens? Are some of them mutant aliens? I don't know. So, anyway. Oh, there's another weird thing in the Ranger Wiki entry in the trivia or the errors or something, and it compares the plot of this episode to a plot of all things, Pee-wee's Playhouse. Alright, like, I like Pee-wee's Playhouse just fine, but, of all things, that? It reminds me of there was another time on Ranger Wiki that gave, like, a, like, bizarrely specific, instance of something, and I can't remember what it was. It was, like, some joke in a really old episode, and it said this type of joke was used in, and I don't even remember what it was, because they chose, like, something so obscure, when actually the joke was, like, a really common joke. It was, like, it dates back to, like, the vaudeville times or something, and whatever. Anyway, this episode was one of the best. It's a good one. I liked it, so looking forward to the rest. See ya.